No maps, no reservations, just a full tank of gas and an idea. Sometimes the greatest adventure begins with nothing more than the courage to turn down the unknown path. This journey winds through the majestic heart of the Canadian Rockies, where big skies stretch endlessly and cathedral-like peaks rise with steadfast grandeur above countless lakes and rivers reflecting the natural beauty around them. We then cross the Strait of Georgia to reach the sun-drenched shores of the endless beaches of Vancouver Island, where time slows to the rhythm of the waves. From mountaintop to coastline, let's see what we'll discover together. Spending a couple of days in Vancouver, enjoying the beaches, the incredible food, and just the general atmosphere was incredible. But it is time to begin our adventure anew. It's 5 a.m. We made it to the ferry, so we are on our way to Nanaimo. And man, that was rough. Getting up at 4 in the morning just to get to the first boat out, especially because we couldn't pre-book tickets. Everything was sold out, so basically had to get lucky. But we did. We're on the boat. We're making our way over to Vancouver Island. The sacrifice of having to wake up at the crack of dawn in order to get to the ferry was quickly overcome by the absolute natural beauty of the sunrise over the Strait of Georgia. I even saw some whales, however, I was not quick enough to the draw to catch one in the act of the dive. The 2-hour journey felt a lot shorter than it was, and I quickly found myself back on land, back in the driver's seat again, and headed towards the city of Nanaimo. So we made it to Nanaimo. Only problem, getting here so early, nothing is open. So I'm gonna loiter around for an hour. Things are gonna open up a little bit. We can check out just kind of the little downtown area. And then the plan is to head up north along the coast. The problem with that logic was that it was based on the assumption that if the stores opened, traffic around town would also increase. This assumption proved to be wrong, and as a result, I decided to make my way towards my next destination, Port Alberni, and explore all of the wonderful stops along the way. All right, we finally made it to Port Alberni. This place is a lot bigger than it looks on the map. It looks like if you don't actually have a car here, it might be a bit of a inconvenience to get around. Actually, that goes double for Nanaimo. Nanaimo also looked quite a bit bigger than I thought it was going to be. But there's a lot of traffic around here, so I'm hoping there's a lot more people than in Nanaimo. Just kind of a nice buzz around the downtown area or the Query area. But first things first, I am hungry. I have not eaten a thing today, and I heard about this place called Bare Bones, and I've been thinking about it the entire drive here. So we're going to go check that out first, and then we'll see what we find around town. To be honest, the place I found out about Bare Bones was my very first attempt to query AI for a recommendation, and it did a spectacular job. Now, what the menu didn't show is you could get a combo, and I chose to get the fish and chips with both cod and salmon. And funny enough, I preferred the cod just a little bit more.
Wow, I'm so happy.
It's a solid 9 out of 10. So far, I've only seen one person walking on the streets, but I've been reassured that there are some incredible donuts and people at the harbor. So we're gonna go see if we can find said donuts and people. Well, I see 2 more people, so I guess that's true. There's a 200% increase compared to before. So the donut shop was closed, and I had to settle for option number 2, which admittedly is probably the better option on a really hot day like today. But it's a little bit shocking that a donut shop would be sold out in a place where there are 3 people. I don't quite understand what happened there. I'm a little bit salty about that one, but we'll see if we can rectify that tomorrow before we leave. Port Alberni was unusually quiet, but I did find out from my hotel later on the reason for that is most of the traffic happens in the morning, and I did arrive late in the afternoon. But I got an early start towards Tofino, and our first stop would be, of course, to get a little coffee. So just got some quick breakfast in Ucluelet, I think that's how you say it. The Huckleberry Cafe and Bakery, fantastic. 4.9 rating on Google, so I had to check it out, and I have to say it definitely lives up to the rating. It's probably the best mocha I've had ever, or at least in recent memory. So what we're going to do next is we're going to start enjoying the Tofino nature adventure. First things first, though, we're going to go and do the lighthouse loop. So let's get to it. start with Loop A, and it looks like it might be a similar experience to what we already did in Revelstoke, but I guess we'll find out. And if it's interesting enough, we'll do Loop B as well. So it is pretty much exactly like the previous experience, but just on principle, I'm going to do Route B anyways, particularly because it was really hard to get parking here. So, you know. We're done with the tree hiking experience and it is lunchtime. So from what I'm told, Tofino is the quintessential dining experience here. It's akin to Ferg Burger in Queenstown, New Zealand, the South Island that is. And you know, I'm very hungry. Even my watch died. It's a lot of work keeping track of all them steps. So we're going to take a quick break. I don't know how long the lineup is going to be. I imagine it's going to be pretty bad, but we're going to stick around and we're going to see what this thing is all about. That wasn't too bad. The wait was about 45 minutes. I ended up ordering a fish taco because that's their signature dish, I'm told. At least that's what the internet believes. And I got a beef burrito as well to handle, you know, the hunger component of the equation. So once it comes out, we'll see what it's all about.
The fish taco was quite large, and with a bit of lemon, it was the perfect combination of fresh and zesty. It was everything I had predetermined in my mind it should be, especially given all the hype. The burrito, on the other hand, was massive. I was not expecting the portion sizes to be quite this large, or I would have maybe just ordered another taco. The staff were also very generous on the meat as well, so if you were looking to have a meal that would tide you over for the day while you're out exploring, this might be the place.
So not only was the food completely up to the hype as far as Tofino is concerned, but the waitress there was kind enough to hook me up with some crazy information on free parking and some of the best views in town. So let's see if those pan out. So here we are. All I have to say is, wow, this is the spot that was recommended to me. It is the Cox Beach Lookout, and the trail to get up here isn't a dedicated trail. It's not marked. You have to kind of find your way, and essentially it's a scramble all the way to the top of this hill through mud, trees, and rock, but the payoff is absolutely worth it. So if you are interested in coming up here, I will put up a screenshot or another quick little clip to show you where the entrance trail is so you can at least find your way on the right path. But again, absolutely worth your time and effort. We made it into the actual town of Tofino, so we're going to take a quick look around here, and I think we're going to call it a night. We went on quite a bit of a drive, so we are now in Victoria. Of course, we were in Tofino just the other day, so that is about a 5-hour drive. First thing we're going to do is, as always, we're going to start with some 5-star coffee. That was great, as to be expected. So now as the trip is kind of winding down a little bit, I'm going to take it easy. We're going to spend the rest of the afternoon wandering around Victoria, which is probably one of my favorite cities. If I could swing moving here, I would absolutely do so. And later in the evening, we're going to make our way west. And even though this is supposed to be a completely random road trip, I think I have kind of a plan forming in my mind about how I'm going to be spending the last 2 or 3 days of this adventure. After hiding out from the scorching midday sun at the Abkhazi Gardens, it was time to revisit Fisherman's Wharf, which was unfortunately mostly closed in the winter given it was out of season. The food at the fish store was outstanding, and the chowder is a must-try, even if just as an appetizer. I spent a few more minutes wandering around the wharf with its amazing floating homes and a wonderful ambiance of people having a fantastic time before deciding to make my way around the boardwalk past the legislative building and towards a bit of a random attraction. I wasn't sure it would really be up my alley, but everyone I had spoken to had nothing but good things to say about it. Miniature world. With little to no expectation going in, I was happy to see the detail and quality in the over 85 exhibits were true to what I was told. There's something for everyone, with the exhibits ranging from historical recreations to classic fairy tales and everything in between. If you have about an hour to spare and $20, it's a fantastic option, especially if the weather outside is less than optimal. I then drove to Sooke, where I would spend the night before the last day of my road trip. We're starting the morning by revisiting one of the old spots I came to before. It is Whiffin Spit, and this place was only 3 minutes from my hotel, so it would be a shame not to drive here just to walk around 5-10 minutes. It is absolutely incredible, completely covered in mist right now, which gives it that ethereal feel to it. So absolutely amazing place if you have not yet seen it. Better than even the best 5-star coffee, the crisp morning air at Whiffin Spit was the perfect way to start my last day on Vancouver Island. That would include exploring 2 incredible beaches, beginning with the Sandcut Beach. We're going to be doing the last hike of this road trip, and it's going to be to Mystic Beach. So both excited, but also a little sad. Of course, after a full day of hiking, when a burger and a beer isn't available, there is but one alternative. Stoked Woodfire Pizza was lauded by all the locals I have spoken to, and as a result, I decided to make this my final meal on Vancouver Island.
All right, Stoked Woodfire Pizza definitely lives up to the hype. Not cheap, but still great value because it is just that good. So unfortunately, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna head back to the ferry. The reason that's unfortunate now that we are on the boat is because unfortunately that means the trip has ended. So I can't really complain too much, even though it is a little bit sad. The reason being is I got incredibly lucky with the weather. I had the absolute best possible weather you could have asked for. And even though I didn't really plan for anything, I still ended up seeing pretty much everything that I needed to see. The locals were super kind and just basically telling me where to go, what food to try, where the best attractions were. And it was just an incredible experience, all in all. Even with accommodations, I was expecting that it'd be pretty difficult to find places given that it is peak season right now, but you know, I was always able to get hotels and or Airbnbs just about anywhere without much issue. So excellent trip, probably one of my best, most fun road trips so far. So what's coming up next? Well, with the fall approaching, there's a couple more trips that I am planning, so I hope that you will be able to come and join on those as well. But thank you for watching, and in the meantime, I'll see you next time.